The state of fashion today. I think we're at a very interesting cornerstone in fashion, I would say. From all the creative directors bouncing around the fashion houses to even companies like Ferrari just entering the fashion game in as years as recent as 2021. And I wouldn't go as far as to say dominating, but their Instagram page has well over 500,000 followers and counting. And they have a really prominent creative director. And speaking of creative directors, bro, like there's been a massive shuffle in the fashion game with all these creative directors, and I think it would be remiss if we did not go through and observe all of these changes because it's a lot to keep up with. And I think that all of these changes are really going to shake up, what people are wearing. The thing about fashion is, trends are here today, gone tomorrow. Like things like the tabby shoes with Puma, um, Polo Ralph Lauren using the bear as a silhouette, and that same bear is now what Chill Guy is. Don't quote me on that though. I just think they look very similar, and I think the Polo Bear was the original Chill Guy. But you know, things just come and go. Like even Bottega, Bottega literally has a suitcase now. It's plastic. It looks just like the Rimoire RMWA. I don't know, bro. It's the same thing, bro. Like things are just being repurposed over and over and over again, and creativity is hard to find. That's why things like the Lacoste Crocs are going viral because, like, bro, people are sick and tired of the same old thing. And shout out to Lacoste and who's running things at Lacoste because they have a crazy um, direction that they're going. I would say if we were talking about fashion directors, I think Pelagia Colourtours, she really got stuff going over there at Lacoste. I think that since 2023, Lacoste has took a much different direction from going to the Great Wall of China. And I hope that the other creative directors who are making these moves are doing something similar. So, John Galliano, bro, left Margiela. I don't know why he would leave Margiela, but he did. Virginie Viard, she left Chanel. And then Matthew Blasey, he went to Chanel. Louis Trotter, she went to Bottega. And Kim Jones left Fendi. And Alessandro Michel, he went to Valentino. While Dres Van Noten went to retire. And who took his spot was a Jew named Julian Klausner. And then, bro, I think the craziest one for me was the Celine creative director left. Heidi Slimane? Yeah, bro, he dipped. And Michael Ryder took his place. And Peter Doe left Helmut Lang. And it's sad to say this, bro, but I think, like, bro, Helmut Lang used to be, like, I'm not going to say. Yeah, bro, Helmut Lang was literally one of them ones. What am I saying, fam? Like, bro, if you do your homework, bro, Helmut Lang is really one of them ones. Like, if we're talking about ground shifting, like, fashion shows, like, way back then, Helmut Lang was one to push the boundaries for real. Sarah Burton went to Givenchy. Let's put that before Helmut Lang. Hyder Ackerman, bro, went to Tom Ford. And then Glenn Martins, he left Y Project. And I feel like, well, all of these people leaving, what does that do to the current state of fashion, right? Like, if we're looking at the state of fashion, I found out about this shakeup and exhaustive list of creative directors shifting because of Haas Nabidi. So, def shout out to Haas Nabidi. I always say, like, that page has really piqued my interest in fashion just by how accessible they make it. So, shout out to them, bro. Y'all are inspiring me. But, anyways, bro, Haas Nabidi goes, an exhaustive lost. Oh, Lord. An exhaustive, an exhaustive list of 2024 CD exits and appointments. Fashion's a game of musical chairs, where creative directors are hired, fired, promoted, rotating around fashion companies, and has been going strong for decades, but now is being played out in double time. Creative director tenures are the shortest they've ever been, lasting as little as a single season in some cases, significantly increasing the amount of hiring, firing, and promoting that happens, meaning we've got a lot to catch up on. 2025 is set to be a bumper of a year in fashion first. Alongside Klausner and Ryder's debut at Dries Van Noten and Celine respectively, there will be debut collections from Sarah Burton at Givenchy, Hyder Ackerman at Tom Ford, and Matthew Blasey at Chanel, Julian Klausner at Dries Van Noten, and Louis Trotter at Bottega Veneta. If you thought 2024's creative directed musical chairs was to keep up with, and it was, just wait for 2025. You really do hate to see it. Like, you hate to see fashion designers leaving where they were to go somewhere else. And it really does feel like, I'm not going to say a buyout game, but really like a buyout game. Like, I think that, what's happening is these companies are trying to compete more and more, and the more competition that comes about, it becomes big bank take little bank. So without further ado, let's go, CD by CD, walk through their history, where they're going, and my humble opinion about it. Let's see. So Bottega Veneta names Louis Trotter the new creative director, and I think that after she rebirthed the Carvin brand and succeeded Matthew Blasey, I think those are big shoes to fill. And he's going to Chanel now, so that's a whole nother thing. But I think that Bottega right now is in a really, really, really good space. Like Bottega is definitely one of my favorite brands. The quote from the Bottega CEO says, "I'm pleased to welcome Louis as our new creative director. Her aesthetic seamlessly combines exquisite design with sublime craft, and her commitment to culture and advocacy aligns beautifully with our brand vision," said the CEO. Through her sophisticated lens, Bottega Veneta will continue to celebrate this heritage while preserving modern relevance. I also want to express my profound appreciation for Matthew. So he goes on to say, like, oh, shout out to Matthew. Because he's been an extraordinary partner in infusing our brand with desirability, emotional resonance, and intellectual identity, which is all facts. And nobody would know what Bottega is if it wasn't for Matthew. So shout out to bro. In regards to Trotter, she started with Carvin in February 2023, which is like recently. They did the whole Fashion Week thing. And then she was also at Lacoste. She went to school at Newcastle University. And then also worked for Calvin Klein and Hilfiger in her early days. So I think that, this is a good move, given that she came from a place like Carvin. I think that, although there's a big role to fill, somebody got to do it. I hate to see him go, but I guess Chanel played bigger bank. So let's go see what Chanel done did. So Matthew Blasey, right? He was at Lacoste, and don't get me wrong, bro. I like Lacoste a lot. Like, I mean, he was at Bottega, and I like Bottega a lot. And I think that that hurt because they said that the first show is set up for October. Matthew Blasey and Chanel, they have their first show in October, and I think that that's crazy. Like, it's just too soon, bro. Like, I don't know. I don't know. So back to the business of fashion, right? Chanel went and chose Matthew Blasey as their new Matthew Blasey. They chose Matthew, whatever, but they chose Matthew. He had a star turn at Venega. He succeeded Karl Lagerfeld and Virgin Viard as the artistic director at the French couture and beauty giant that we know as Chanel. Chanel is a huge brand, and what he did at Bottega Veneta was no small feat. So Matthew being named the artistic director at Chanel really does open up a new era of French couture. I think that after Chanel did a 3-year stint um, at Bottega, I think that he's succeeding Karl Lagerfeld, who exited in June, and bless his heart, but 36 years leading Chanel, those are really hard shoes to fill. So obviously, they're expecting Matthew Blasey to fill big shoes. They do $20 billion in annual revenue, and it's the second biggest brand. So it's not to say that Chanel needs a revolution, but putting Matthew in a place like this is so that he could push the boundaries of what Chanel is. It's kind of what he did at, Bottega, taking these designs that Chanel or that Bottega had and making them, fresh. That's what people want. So I think that, him at Bottega, since 2021 was a good move, but him at Chanel is going to be even better. So let's see what he do. Let's see what he do. Controversially so, Margiela parted ways with John Galliano. And man, John had been with the luxury fashion house since 2014 after he was fired from Dior and his namesake label for, I guess, anti-Semitic and racist remarks. Y'all know how that be, bro. You gotta watch your mouth when you're in a position of power. He hasn't decided what he's up to next or who's gonna replace him in Maison Margiela, but I don't know. He had a legendary run, a legendary 10 years at Maison Margiela, and he came from Dior and Givenchy as a background. So I can only really see him going back to Dior, but who knows? We'll see. In other news, Peter Doe did leave Helmut Lang. Despite his heavy, return to the roots of New York for the brand and things of that nature, I think that, he just couldn't reconnect with the cult following that Helmut Lang has, bro. They come from a real grunge background. And Peter Doe, like, he couldn't do that. He was only there for, like, less than 2 years. And Peter Doe also has his own brand, like, he founded his namesake brand in 2018. Then he joined Helmut Lang in May 2023. And that was when he debuted his collection at Fashion Week in September 2023 as part of the Spring 24 show. And this past February was his last show actually for Helmut Lang, and he's skipping on the Spring 25 show, which took place in September. So yeah, they didn't do anything in September, and he left the brand. So out with the old, in with the new, man. Crazy. And Helmut Lang, if you know anything about the fashion industry, like I said, it's been around for a while. Started in 1986. Has been helmed by 7 different creative directors. Since the Austrian founder parted ways with like Brandon, I think it was '05. Um, and then, Hood by Air, the Hood by Air guy was there for a while. Shane Oliver, he was at Helmut Lang in 2018. Then after that, it was Mark Thomas, and then now Peter Doe left. So we'll see, we'll see. Menswear is changing a lot too. Tom Ford recently announced that Hyder Ackerman is officially taking the reins at the company. He's debuting in the fall 2025 collection next year in Paris. He actually lives in Paris. Um, and this was like right after, Peter Hawkins left. He was there for over 25 years. He was appointed to the company by Mr. Tom Ford himself. And after Tom Ford sold the company in 2023 for like 2 billion is when he like really like decided to revamp the company and take a step back. And so I think that this switch up is very very necessary. I think that Ackerman has a proven track record. Like he had a creative director role at Canada Goose, and I think that Canada Goose in itself is a very interesting brand. Like what Canada Goose is. You know the patch, bro. So yeah, and that's my 2 cents, man. That's my 2 cents on this whole creative director toss up. Here's the entire graphic for those who want to see what's really happening in the fashion world. We got people going from company to company, from Valentino to Chanel to Canada Goose. Um, yeah, here's the graphic. Like I said, Chanel, Canada Goose, Valentino, Tom Ford, Dries Van Noten, Uniqlo, Chanel, Givenchy, and Bottega. We've all seen the ins and outs of fashion. Who's next, bro? Who's next on this fashion man hunt? Fashion woman hunt? I don't know. If you ask me, there's a whole line of people who should have been lined up for these creative director roles, but you know how the industry go, man. You know how it go. We'll see. We'll see. Met Gala's around the corner. I got hope for the fashion industry because the current state of fashion is crazy. But, until next time, bro, keep tapping in with me. Manhattan Mari, Money Mari, whatever you want to call it. I'll see y'all soon, man. Be good. Peace. Subscribe.